Cag.
Hello.
Where are we?
We are at Redwood Castle, I had to think then.
It did. We're at another castle. So we are still in Ireland. We have a new castle to have a look at. We did Charleville yesterday. We're at Redwood today. Now it is just this one tower, would you call it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Is it a tower?
Is it a tower or is it actually classified as a castle?
It is a castle.
It is a castle. I think that's all there ever was, wasn't there?
They did tend to build them like that,
Yeah.
didn't they? Looking at the tower
It's
castles.
more like
aren't
a big fortified house, wasn't it? So we're going to go and see what we can find in there
they? How exciting.
from the 1100s, 11th century. Lots of history. Let's go.
Very welcome here to Redwood Castle in County Tipperary. The castle you see today traces its roots to an Anglo-Norman family called the de Cougans. They settled in this area after Strongbow's invasion, and like most lords of the time, a deal was struck that essentially if they could keep control of a certain area, then it was theirs to be the feudal lords over. So what we originally had here around 1190 is they built a wooden Motte and Bailey castle. Now, according to the records, over the next 20 years or so, that was burned down at least 3 times and rebuilt again. So around 1210 AD, they got a bit fed up of that and decided to build something a bit more permanent in its place. The remains of that is the first 2 stories of the castle that you can see today. And you can see up at the second level there, the remains of an archway just below that central slotted window. That was the original entrance into the castle, up on the second level. So you would have had either some wooden stairs at the front here or a ladder which they could pull up after them for security reasons. They stayed here up until about 1350 when they moved away. And that's in and around that time, quite a lot of those Norman castles like this did fall into the hands of the local Irish chieftains. Now, the local chieftain in this area were the O'Kennedy clan. They took a castle down at Lackeen, just down the road from here, as their own base, and they gave this castle here at Redwood to their lawyers, who were the MacEgan family. The MacEgans were a famous family of Brehon lawyers. It followed a very ancient Irish system of law. Now, technically, after the English invasion, English common law was the only law in the country, but when it comes to dealing with land disputes, family arguments, anything like that, you can't just ignore all of the decades and centuries that have come before for precedents. So in reality, these Brehon lawyers maintained quite a prominent role in Irish society for many centuries afterwards. They answered not only to the O'Kennedy chieftains here, but their advice was sought by chieftains right the way across the country, and sometimes even by the government in Dublin Castle. So when they took over, very soon afterwards, they added the 3rd floor up above, and one of the first things they did was they built a school and a library here. They were famous not just as lawyers, but also as historians and teachers. So they very quickly gained a reputation first across the country and then across Europe as a place of great learning. 1580, 1590, we know the final 2 levels of the castle were added on by the MacEgans. However, that was only about 50 years before the castle met its demise. We don't know much about it, except that it coincided with Oliver Cromwell's invasion of Ireland. It was quite... By the time his troops got this far west in the country, word spread ahead in advance, really, of what happened to those settlements which tried to hold out against his forces. They were fresh out of the English Civil War. There'd been huge developments in gunpowder, in artillery. These places, which were once impregnable, were all of a sudden little more than house of cards, really. I mean, once those sort of artillery pieces started up on these, they really didn't last very long. And you can see from the exterior here, there's no sign of any real damage on the outside walls. So it's incredibly unlikely a protracted battle was fought here. More than likely, the family, when they knew that the forces were drawing close, would have simply given up the castle and fled across the Shannon. So this sat empty for about 4 centuries. The very top level up there would have had a pitched thatch roof on it originally, so obviously when that was set fire to, that came down and left the top floor completely open to the elements for those 4 centuries. But pretty much everything beneath that was actually preserved pretty well. And you'll see once we go inside, there's quite a few photos of the castle back in the 1970s and during the restoration project. The restoration was taken on by a man named Michael Egan from Castle Bar in County Mayo. He was a lawyer who took this on essentially as a retirement project. He was very fond of his family history. He was very proud of the fact that he was a lawyer like his medieval ancestors, the Macegans, so he wanted to restore this firstly out of a matter of pride, but also he actually wanted this as a second family home. You met Kalisa there, that's his daughter. Michael himself passed away back around 1999 and Kalisa has been looking after it ever since.
Cool.
Now, as we go in through the main entrance here, this is a door that the Macegans added in. They blocked up that more cumbersome second level door when they took over and put in a slightly more accessible one underneath. However, they still weren't taking their security completely for granted. If you did break through this first door here, while you were trying to fight your way through the second door or up the spiral stairs, this could be opened above your heads. And this is a murder hole.
Ah.
Now, in sort of typical sort of Hollywood fashion, you see sort of the images of boiling oil and that kind of thing, but that was very rarely done in reality. It was a bit too extravagant to have a load of boiling oil lying on hand for a siege. So whatever they had handy at the time, sticks, stones, rocks, bows, arrows, if it persuaded whoever's down below to leave, it was good enough. So we're down at the ground floor now. You can see, particularly on this side here, a good illustration of just how thick the walls are at this level.
Yes.
They're anywhere between about 10 and 14 foot thick all the way around this ground level. This doorway here isn't original. This was actually only knocked through about 100 years ago by the local farmer whose land the castle was on. And that's because his cows used to come in here during the winter to shelter, but the door over there wasn't big enough to bring in his plough and his equipment during the winter months. So story goes that it took a group of men with sledgehammers about 2 weeks to knock their way through there. And I mean, Ireland has such a huge number of these sites. I mean, it's the most heavily encastellated country in Europe. But because of that, a lot of these places would be in OPW hands, the Office of Public Works, which is the government department that deals with this. But realistically, when it has thousands and thousands of these sites under its remit, it doesn't have anywhere near the funds to even preserve them, much less restore them and try and build them up into something more than just a pile of rocks in a field in some places. So you do need that community involvement. And another example there would be the DVD, Macegan's Curse.
What's that about?
That actually tells the story of one of the Macegans who was here at the castle. The son, in fact, of the lord of the castle was actually the sheriff for this part of the country at the time. And it was at the time of O'Sullivan Bearer's rebellion in Ireland. Now, after he was defeated, he went on a huge march with his surviving soldiers and their families from West Cork all the way up to Breffni in the north. And it took them past the castle here. Now, the trouble was that a lot of the lords of the country at the time, the Irish lords, were very worried about blowback from that rebellion, and they wanted to be seen to be proving themselves to be loyal to the crown. So at almost every step of that journey, O'Sullivan Bearer's forces came under constant attack, and that was no different here up at Redwood. The sheriff at the time, the Macegan, he led out a force of men to ambush O'Sullivan Bearer's forces and did so down near the Shannon, just down the road here. However, Macegan himself was killed during that ambush, and it was rumoured that a curse was put on the family at that point. O'Sullivan Bearer did escape with the remains of his forces. The story goes that they killed their remaining horses and hastily fashioned their skins into very, very make-do boats, which they used to paddle their way across the Shannon to escape to the west, and continued on their way. But to this day, there are still a huge number of families in the area with surnames tracing to West Cork, because at every step of the way, by the time they got up to Breffni, there was barely a few dozen of them left. But it wasn't so much that they'd all been killed, it was the fact that every few miles people would give up and say, we've had enough of this. This looks like a nice enough area, let's settle here now. So the same goes here. The story is that they actually sought refuge at one of the local monasteries when they came under attack. And then they ended up being taken in by them and became part of the local community, and many around still to this day.
Dedicated to the cause. That's brilliant.
So, when you're ready, we can make our way up the spiral stairs here. These are the original stairs, dating all the way back to the early 1200s. So you can see, particularly on the underside, just how crude the building construction methods were.
Yeah.
Yet they still, to this day, have survived completely intact.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
So this would be one of the rooms that Kalisa would sleep in these days when she does come down to visit.
Okay.
Purely because it's one of the driest rooms in the castle.
Yeah.
Where we are now is actually carved inside the thickness of the wall at this level.
Oh, wow.
And this is in fact the murder hole room. The trapdoor you
Oh,
saw
is
down
it?
below
So it's
is actually
standing on
under the
top of
bed
it?
there. The trapdoor's under the bed.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So, as well as being the murder hole room, this was also the original entrance hallway into the castle, because that big arch you saw outside is just above here.
Okay.
So this is where they would have originally entered to the castle. And again, it was a security measure that even if someone did get up the stairs or ladder outside and break their way through the door, they would have to fight their way up or down the spiral stairs there in order to gain access to the rest of the castle.
Yeah. So do you know any of the stuff that's been happening here with the ghosts, or?
Yeah, no, I know most of the stories to do with that seem to take place up at the very top level.
Right.
I know we've had a few teams here in
Yeah.
recent years who've done various investigations, and not so much, they don't tend to get many results down at the lower levels here. I think around the chapel there was a little bit of activity they recorded a few times, but it is mostly up at the very top level there, so
Why is it always up the stairs?
yes.
Because it always is.
Because it is, isn't it? We don't do stairs in Australia.
No.
Most people live in
All right.
bungalows.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a nice big room.
Yeah, so we're on the third floor here, and as you note, it is quite surprising how much it opens out the higher you up you get. You remember the thickness of the walls down at the ground level. With each level that we go up, those reduce a little bit more, with the result it opens up inside quite spectacularly at times. This is the only surviving ceiling. This was the one that the McKeegans added on when they took over around 1350. It was the only one that was made of stone, so the only one that didn't burn up in the fire. This photo here from the 1970s,
Oh, wow.
this is the level we're standing on now,
Yeah.
with the ground floor, sorry, the second floor down below us and the ground floor below that. So all that were left were these stone ledges running around the edge of each room. So you would have just had wooden floorboards and maybe some straw or something on top of that for each level. Then the big stone bar vaulted arch sheltering everything underneath, so it was completely
Come a
gutted
long way,
out.
hasn't
With a
it?
cow in
Yes. Yeah, so that's the main entrance there with the murder hole up above.
Okay, yeah.
First
yep, yep, yep.
archway there.
Wow.
And you can see in the pictures just really
As
what a
they're
bad state it
putting
was
it
in
back
at
together,
times.
yeah.
The ivy alone was growing about 6 foot thick all the way around the castle. So it was a job itself just to get that off without bringing all the stonework down with it,
Yeah.
because obviously it grows into every little nook and cranny. And
One of the worst things to have, isn't it?
yeah, so it was a huge task getting rid of that safely.
I mean, very pretty, but
Yeah,
not
oh yeah,
six foot thick
absolutely.
as well, is it?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
And you can
wouldn't
see
even-
there where the cattle used to actually eat up as high as they could, and then they would actually use that little nook there to shelter during bad weather. And this is the top floor here, so this is the one that was left exposed to the elements for about 4 centuries. So that's the level above us. And you can see then the top part of that, where the roof came down, had to be rebuilt almost completely from scratch. But they made sure to use only stone from local quarries, the same places that the original stone would have come out of, with the result that actually when you see the castle outside, it's very difficult to pick out where that work starts and ends.
Yeah, you wouldn't pick, because normally you can
Yeah.
work out, can't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a good job somebody took an interest, isn't it?
Absolutely, because I mean, if you do get a chance to go down and see Lackeen Castle sometime, that's a pretty good approximation of what this castle looked like back in the 1970s.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same state that this was then, so they make a good little contrast there, really. And that is the man who was responsible for the restoration, Michael J. Egan, Khalisa's father, standing there with the foreman. So he took on this project and funded the entirety out of it, out of his own pocket.
Wow.
He also brought in another Egan, the man you can see there in the cap and the vest,
Yeah.
Patrick Egan. He was the architect who supervised the technical side of the project. Now, they were helped a little bit in that a lot of these tower houses were built to a very similar design. Essentially, it's just one big room stacked on top of the other over and over again, with occasionally these little rooms cut into the thickness of the wall at points. This little room carved into the wall here, this actually has a little bit of history from after the castle was destroyed. About 1500 years later, after the 1798 rebellion, one of the defeated rebels was a man named James Meany. He went on the run after the rebellion was defeated, and he ended up here at the castle. So he used to run up the spiral stairs over there, balance on that stone ledge you saw in the photos around the edge of the room, 3 floors up, to get to this little room here, which he hid out and made his home for a short time.
Okay.
His story ends like many Irish stories. You'll see a very common theme coming up in Irish history is Irish men blaming Irish women for all of their troubles. Now, in this particular case, James Meany fell in love with a local farmer's daughter. Story has it that the farmer's daughter had no problem with this. The farmer himself did. So after he failed to actually break them up himself, he went to the authorities and informed on James Meany. Right. So troops came to the castle, found him here, arrested him, and he was executed for his part in the rebellion. But for a very brief time, he did find a little bit of refuge here.
Yeah.
Now, this floor was originally one big room like above, but when Michael Egan did the restoration, he had these 2 partition walls put in, mainly because he wanted this installed. This is a small oratory, a chapel.
Right.
Now, this certainly, it would have been an extravagance at the time for a castle of this size to have anything like this. However, Michael Egan was a very religious man and wanted this put in to the restored building. He was the president of the Irish Association of the Order of Malta for many years. That was originally dates its origins back to a Crusader order, the Knights Hospitallers, but when they were driven out of the Holy Lands, they resettled in Malta, and to this day they're involved in quite a lot of charity work around Europe, and particularly in Ireland. Yeah. They also run an ambulance service here. You can see their cross up in the stained glass and at the front of the altar there, and the plaque on the wall behind you commemorates Michael's presidency of their Irish Association.
Okay.
Right, so we can lead up to the top now.
Yep.
You'll see straight away there's already much smoother construction compared to below.
Ah, yes.
And that's because this is the part that was only added on in the late 1500s.
Right.
So this was only here for about 50 years before the castle was taken by Cromwell's troops.
Right.
So this is the 4th level that was left exposed to the elements for all those centuries. So there was a huge amount of work involved
Hasn't
in getting
it?
this back up to where it is today. Essentially, they just looked at other tower houses which had survived a bit better over the years and tried to copy as many features as they could to keep it authentic. Michael had a minstrel's gallery putting up above.
Right.
So you would have entertainers or musicians playing for guests down below as he was entertaining them. We might start up there actually, because that's probably one of the areas you're going to be most interested in, I would say.
Okay, yeah.
Whenever Michael and his wife were down here, they would stay in a little mobile home outside the castle, supervising the work. However, one day the workers at the castle made a bet with Michael Egan. You can see this little stone alcove down here, overlooking the very front of the castle. Only a tiny, tiny little alcove there.
Yeah.
They bet Michael Egan that he would not be able to sleep in there overnight in this half-finished castle by himself.
Yeah.
He took them up on that bet, made a little mattress for himself down there, went to sleep, and he woke up screaming in the middle of the night with the sensation that someone was strangling him. And he ran out of the castle and swore he wouldn't sleep in here again by himself, at least until the castle was finished.
So do you know what the other teams have been getting, or?
Yeah, no, we did have one only, I think it was barely 2 weeks ago we had one down here. I know they've been here quite a few times over recent years, and I think 2 years ago they actually slept here overnight, and one of the gentlemen was actually made a bed for himself next to that chest underneath the alcove there.
yeah.
Whereas one of the ladies was over here on her bed. Now she kept waking up in the night, and every time she woke, when she looked over, your man over there was sitting up in bed doing something. And then she was constantly hearing him going to the bathroom over there and back again all through the night.
Right.
But it wasn't until the morning that she found out he was actually asleep all night. He did not wake up even once.
Okay.
This is a copy of one of the books that was written here. Now, the original is still around. It's up in the Royal Irish Academy in Dublin, and it was written in the late 1300s.
Oh, wow.
So it was in the first 50 years or so that the family was living here. So they commissioned this for their family. It's the Lauerbach, the speckled book of the McKeegans.
Irish and Latin.
So, I mean, this copy itself is an antique by itself because this dates
just because it's
back to 1876. This was produced. This is a facsimile of the original that the Royal Irish Academy produced at the time. You can see at the start here translations.
Yep.
It was written both in Old Irish and Old Latin, and sometimes even jumping between them in the same sentence. It was a collection of stories, essentially.
Yeah.
Biblical tales, historical tales, Irish mythology, all mixed in together, both to entertain and to educate their children as they grew up. So they just open this book from time to time, tell another tale from it by the firelight.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
You can see inside sort of a black and white representation of the pages.
That's superb, isn't it?
This would have been written on vellum, calfskin. And you can even see in a few places, let's see if I can find one, the small holes here.
Oh, right.
These were actually in the vellum before they even began. It was quite a expensive material to work with, so if there was a small hole in it, they wouldn't just throw it out. The scribe would actually write around it there. You can see it's not a hole that's bored through afterwards.
Okay, so it's just copied the whole...
Yeah, and obviously if you flip the page, you can obviously see it go through to the other side as well.
That's amazing.
Much bigger hole there, which is written around. And then at the very back here, we actually have a couple of colour pages, so you can see what the original looks like.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
So you can see it's not quite as illuminated as something like the Book of Kells, but there's still quite a lot of work gone into that, to put it mildly. And probably one of the more unusual features of this book compared to any other is the little notes you see in the margin here. Outlined in red.
Yeah.
You might be forgiven at first glance thinking that it's maybe some sort of footnotes, references, something like that. In actual fact, it very rarely has anything at all to do with the text on the page. It was almost at times treated like a little diary that the scribe was keeping as he was going along. He was talking about what the weather's like outside, who's come visiting the castle, who's annoying him that day and distracting him from doing his work and frustrating him. And it's a very, very rare day-to-day insight on paper.
That is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
The only access to the roof is up here.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to get through there.
Well, you go first, because I'll film you going.
Are you going to film? Thanks for that.
Just mind yourself on
You'll
the door.
have to go sideways, Kate. Breathe in.
Oh my god. You know when you regret having that croissant for breakfast?
I can kick you through if you like.
Watch your ribs, it's just on your rib area.
Yeah, and you can continue up there.
Oh, okay.
There's a big high first step, but it's not too bad once you get up that first step.
This is hilarious, it's brilliant.
See, you're not too old after all. For excitement and adventure.
This is cool, isn't it?
Isn't it? Oh wow, this
I mean,
is
obviously the location and the views were a key reason of why the castle was placed here to begin with. There's two particularly important features to our location. The first is, if you see the brown bogland there beyond the green fields straight ahead.
Where are we looking?
You've got all these green fields there and the brown bogland behind it.
I see it.
The tree line behind it is the River Shannon. So it's only a couple of kilometres down the road there.
Yep.
The Normans never really succeeded in getting much of a foothold on the other side, the west side of the Shannon. So they resorted to building a huge line of castles along the banks to really act as lookouts over the river and the major crossings.
It was nice knowing you all.
You can't go yet, you've got to carry my bags. That's all I bring you for.
And watch your step on the step ladder on the inside there, because that's not secured.
Yeah, that's going to be the fun one.
How come I put a weight on the way down the stairs?
You built those muscles up. See, he does it. Look at this.
I know.
So gracefully, down he goes.
I just had a lot more practice.
Just like...
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
No, that was good.
Give you this
Thank
back
you.
as well.
Take 53.
Okay.
Happy.
Good.
Oh, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
For this session, we are in the chapel at the Redwood Castle. Now, this wasn't originally a chapel, as far as we know. This was just one room that's been turned into little rooms. So we thought we'd do a little session in here and see what happens. So we have to bear in mind it wasn't always a chapel, okay? So we've got all the equipment out, as normal. And we'll just have a little bit of a play and see what happens, eh, Alison?
Can I put the music box back on? Didn't.
Guys, we're so tired.
Okay.
We're so tired.
Pretend that bit didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Edit
Okay.
out.
Alright, so we've got the equipment out. We're just going to throw a little line out there, see if we get anything. So, if there's anybody here tonight, we don't wish you any harm, we don't wish you any disrespect, we just want to talk to you if we possibly can. Now, we're going to introduce ourselves. So, my name is. Oh, that was vibration on the EDI.
Where? Oh, okay. Which is interesting because this is solid.
This is solid.
Solid.
So, my name is Cag. I'm sorry, it's a really unusual name. And my friend here too.
Oh.
I said no.
Oh.
Now, what was interesting when we were setting up,
Yeah.
the only words we had come through the equipment were all witch, God. What other ones were there? They were all
Devil.
sort of devil. Yeah.
And now we've got I said no.
Said no.
So I don't think they
No.
want us to do the chapel.
I don't want to say no too, but
Well, I think they just think it's disrespectful doing it in a chapel.
well, we're basing on the fact that it wasn't always a chapel, so we're not basing it on the fact
Well,
it's a
it
chapel.
did become a sanctified because I was reading the sign,
Hmm.
and the sign actually says that it's been commissioned to do religious things. It has been sanctified.
Yeah.
So
But-
this would be seen as a big
Yeah,
no.
it is. If it is, if we do find it disrespectful, I really apologise. But we're looking at what it used to be before it was turned into a chapel. So I do apologise about that if you're not happy with us. Is that okay with you? Did you even introduce yourself?
I haven't introduced myself. My name's Alison.
Well, that was useful. Thank you for that. So if you'd like to light up one of the
At
lights,
least I
you've
got my name right, unlike some people who don't get their names right.
What do we do? I get my name right. Alison.
At Asheville.
Oh yeah, I did call myself Alison.
Yeah, you did.
Nobody understands.
Alright, so if you want to light up one of the lights for me, please, any of them, just have to go towards them and touch them. Won't hurt you. Just let us know where you are. Anything at all. We have got the one with numbers on. That's got lots of different lights you can do on that one. We've got a flashing triangle. We've already made it go green once.
I've made it go green 3 times.
Well, it actually has when we're setting up.
Yeah,
That's the witch's crow outside.
that's my familiar.
Yeah, it is. Just trying to get in, but they put double glazing in. She's not happy. She's banging that beak against that window. So we've got a triangle. So if you can make the triangle go red for me, that one that's flashing in that nice purpley blue colour.
How does it work?
Oh, okay, let me show you.
Very
Okay.
good.
Very, very good question. So, what you have to do is if you come up to this side, what you got to do is come close to that side and it'll go red. And we can use that as a no. Or you can go to this side and it'll go green and we can use that as a yes. So what you've been doing is saying yes. What we've been interpreting as yes. That's all you have to do. That's how that one works. Do you want to know? Because you might not have seen that. The people coming in here may not have had one of those. If you go near the one by the window, I'll take my phone close to it. This one might pick up on your energy. Oh, I'm going. There you go. So that's picking up on my phone. All right, but you might be able to make it do the same thing. Same with this on the window here.
Weak.
Weak.
Wow, my legs have suddenly gone really cold.
Are they?
Real, as you went by, a real icy feel at the top of my legs just here.
I'm roasting. I was thinking of taking my jacket off.
No, I'm cold. If there's any of those items that you like, all you've got to do is light the light up closest to the one you like.
Okay. Should we do an EVP first?
Yeah, let's.
Alright, so what I'm going to do, I've got a little voice recorder here.
Castle.
We are
in a castle, yes.
Yeah, we are. Thank you for that. Now, I've got a voice recorder here, so we're going to ask you some questions, and we'd love it if you could answer them for us, please. All you have to do is talk into this little box, and hopefully be able to hear your voice. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to put that there. So if you don't mind talking to us, now's your chance. All right. So as I said earlier, my name is Cag. Can you tell me what your name is, please?
Singing.
Oh, we can do some singing if you
We
want to.
will do
later.
afterwards if you like. My name's Alison. And we're just wondering, do we have a gentleman here? Or a lady? Maybe a child?
Did you used to live in this building or work here? Oh, lights, EDI, the red light, and the suddenly increase in temperature and a change in air pressure.
And I missed it.
You missed that.
Yeah.
All right, let's play it back then, shall we? Just with 3 questions. Is it all good? Oh.
Mary.
Oh, is your name Mary?
No, married.
Oh, married.
Oh, well, it's relevant.
Yeah, in a chapel.
Yeah. Go into the chapel. Strong. I didn't move that though.
It knows you're an Amazonian woman too.
Yeah, it does. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to play this back and see if we've caught anything on here.
Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
All right. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That was the
That was the
lantern.
lantern, yeah, EMF lantern.
So step up there, so if you don't mind talking to us. Now's your chance. Alright, so as I said earlier, my name is Cag. Can you tell me what your name is, please?
Singing.
Oh, we'll do some singing if you want
We'll
to.
do afterwards if you like. You got another question?
Here.
Well, I was giving it a bit of space because you rabbited through that one.
Right together.
Alright, let's play it back then, shall we? Just with 3
The one that's
questions.
playing that, is it near the koala? Well, we could quickly put the headphones on.
Yeah.
Ooh, what was that?
I don't know, something lit up.
Yeah, I think it was one of those lights over there again.
In danger.
Oh, which one is it?
It seems like all of them are.
Who's in danger? See, the crows know that,
Yeah, familiar's back.
the rooks know that it's
If there's somebody near the altar over there, can you just light the lights up again for us, please?
nice and bright.
All those nice purpley coloured, pinky purpley lights. Could you just light them up for me? Go close to them. See if you can light them up again.
Oh, that was that one. So what's that one close to?
The end one on this side, that's the alcohol.
Oh, no, not this one. The one at the back, behind the cross, between the cross and...
There's nothing around there.
Come
It's
over
just...
here.
Come over where?
Where are you? We can't see you.
Oh,
Wow, that was a big...
that was a very loud tap from right in front of us.
And the vibration went really... It's about, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 lights that went up.
Oh,
Wow, that was a big...
that was a very loud tap. Oh,
Wow, that was a big...
that was a very loud tap. If I do this, can you knock back, please? It's on the floor.
Oh, sorry?
Did you hear the 3
I heard
taps?
something.
It's just given 4 taps, 3 then, 1 before, and it came from down in front of us, down here.
Would you like her to sing you a song?
Tag an animal in the background. Oh,
Oh, threshold window.
windows over there.
Do you want, if you like us to sing, it's probably what's going out the window.
We're listening.
Oh, she's listening for the song.
Oh, okay. So
What would you like us to sing? How about Amazing Grace?
that was just what I was going to recommend.
Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound
That saved a wretch
like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Nobody understands.
I'm sorry, we tried our best, didn't we?
Maybe it's not a song from your time.
No.
What about all things bright and beautiful,
All
creatures great and small,
All things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all.
Did you like that one?
Can you knock 3 times for me, please?
Can you knock 3 times
Like
like
a ceiling if you want me. Do, 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 do. Twice on the pipe. If the answer is no.
Do we put the headphones on?
Yeah.
Or I put the headphones on, whichever. If you go on the other side of the altar there, like it was telling us to do.
Okay. Oh, is it? Let's go turn this off for now. Covered in stuff.
Okay, so Cag has got some strange things on her ears. And she's listening for anything, for any words. So maybe you can try and manipulate that and put some words on there.
Sweet.
Sweet. Cag sweet, maybe? I'll probably argue that point, but do we have a man in here with us?
It's here.
It's here. What's here? Do you know what the year is?
A heart. Dead.
Are you dead? Do you know you're dead? When did you die?
Fine.
What did you pass away from?
Living room.
Is that what this was? Was this a living room once? It was a big room. I believe they partitioned it off.
Court. Court.
Accused.
Alright, we're just going to tag that there is. Were you caught? Are you the gentleman that lived here and hid here in the castle, the ruin?
You. What is that?
What's what?
No. Added.
Because you were caught through falling in love with a lady.
Go. Hello. No. Very.
I think it's
10. There's men. Nothing.
just random. So I reckon we pack up in here.
Yeah.
And we move on.
Good idea. I might put that in here. Nothing less to think about. Oh. Really?
Oh, is that mine?
Yes.
We're supposed to check first.
What you've had out of here?
Eh?
It's a little bit of a mess.
Put it up on a seat and I'll sort it. Go and set yours up on the top thing.
It's done there.
Don't trip over my back.
What are you doing?
I'm now putting ghost tube on.
Oh, no, the flowers have just lit up.
Are they?
But I didn't have it
It
on.
seems to be the...
That's mine.
Oh, so the flowers are yours.
You like the flowers. So have we got a lady here? All right, if there's anybody here, my name's Alison.
My name's Cag.
I'm just wondering if you can put your name on that little box there.
If there's anybody here, were you around at the time of Oliver Cromwell? Did you try to fight him or his army, or did you escape beforehand?
Were you the person who hid in that little room to the side of us? If you are, you might be able to make that red box play some music if you go up to it. Cow. That's not me calling Keg a cow, although.
You must have been a bit of a fit guy to be able to traverse around the edge.
Yeah.
Because there was no floor, so it would only be the bit that went in, like the little lip area, to go around the whole of the edge of this room and end up into that little room over there to hide. Only to be let down by a female.
No, it wasn't. It was her parents, wasn't it?
Mm. And Dwight's going off with the cow a lot.
Power on.
It's a flower as well. It's the flower and the cow. It's just those two.
I would have thought probably the tobacco and the alcohol, really. Do you want your ghost boxed? Because I did the last Estes. Do you want to do this? I'll get your ghost box. Yeah, you prefer that? All right. So if you want to do this one, I'll film you.
Oh.
Where do you want to go and sit?
Where would you like me to sit?
Well, preferably outside that window.
Smart.
If there's anybody here, my name is Cag. And my friend is sat on the chair there with some funny things on her ear. She's going to look very strange indeed. And I was just wondering if you could tell me what your name is, please. What's your
Sing.
Oh, do you want me to sing? I'm not very good at singing. What would you like me to sing? What sort of song do you want? Can you tell me? Put rocks on as well. Is there a child here? How about ring a roses, a pocket full of posies. A tissue, we all fall down. Do you like that one? Is that
Death.
good? Death. It is about death. It's not a very happy song, is it really? Did you ever experience a plague? Oh, that's the cow going. Just. Yeah, we have as well. That cow is really going off over there. Oh, you just said just as well. Alison said just, and so did the Vox. Can you remember if you were a male or a female, a boy or a girl?
What's up?
No, we just want to talk to you. Nothing's up. Just like to talk to you if possible. Is that okay with you? Just want to say hello. Can you remember your name? Can you remember your name? Can you remember? Is there anything you want to tell me? Sun setting out there. Anything you want to say to me?
No. There's nothing really coming through.
Okay.
Not a lot of voices, is quiet. Anything through that?
You said just, and then this said just. That
Oh,
was
really?
about it, really.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's the end of this episode. So that was Redwood Castle. The chapel was a little bit interesting.
I think the chapel for me was probably the best.
Yeah, I think everything else has been very quiet for us, but that's the way it is. Doesn't happen all the time. Maybe something just doesn't want to talk to Kagami. Maybe he's not here tonight. Who knows? But that's the way of the paranormal. So we're going to keep moving on. We're going to our next location, and then we'll see you next week. Catch you later. Bye.
Maybe if things had been quiet early on, it might have been okay. But that's another story. Okay, a long story.
Bye.
Bye.